They abandoned her with a newborn in her arms, her ex-husband, her own brother, and the in-laws who once smiled at her wedding. To them, Alana Pierce was nothing but dead weight, another mouth to feed, another problem to forget. But 3 years can change everything. Hidden behind the tall iron gates of Cedar Springs, a woman they once mocked now walks across the marble floors of a $100 million dream mansion, a home she built in silence, brick by brick, while they whispered she'd never survive. They don't know it yet. They don't know the woman they left for, broke, is the one everyone's talking about now. They left her with nothing but a baby and a broken heart, unaware she was building a kingdom they'll soon come begging to enter. Hello, family. Welcome back. Before we begin, please click subscribe. Every single click helps us tell stories of courage and truth. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. Because when we share these stories together, we remind each other that even in pain, we can rise. The crystal chandelier blazed above the long dining table, its reflection shimmering across gold plates and polished glasses. Laughter filled the air, loud, fake, and heavy with pretense. Ethan Pierce, tall, confident, in his navy suit, tapped his glass with a silver spoon. The sound cut through the noise like a bell before a storm. Everyone, he said, flashing that well-rehearsed smile. Tonight isn't just about family, it's about a new beginning. Alana Pierce, his wife of 5 years, froze mid-smile. Her heart thudded in her chest. Around her, the Pierce family, her in-laws leaned forward, expecting another self-congratulatory speech about his business or promotion. But Ethan's eyes shifted toward the door. From the doorway stepped a woman in a shimmering red dress, Renee Cole, the company's new marketing executive. Every hair on Alana's neck rose. Renee's hand rested lightly on her stomach. Pregnant. A stunned silence spread across the table. Sylvia's lips curved into a satisfied smirk. So, this is the special guest, she murmured, eyes glinting. Ethan raised his glass, pretending not to notice the horror on Alana's face. To family, he said, voice steady, and to the child that will carry my name. The glass slipped from Alana's hand, shattering against the marble floor. No one moved to help her. Not her husband, not her in-laws, not even Darius, her own brother, who sat stiffly at the far end, eyes darting away in shame. Harold cleared his throat. Let's be civil, Alana. No need to cause a scene. A scene? Her breath shook. Inside, her chest felt like it was burning. She'd left her job, her dreams, her freedom believing in this family. She'd carried their name, their child, their weight. And tonight, they were celebrating her replacement. Sylvia leaned closer, voice low and cruel. Maybe now Ethan can have peace. You've done enough damage, don't you think? Every word landed like a slap. Alana stared at her plate, the scent of roasted rosemary suddenly sickening. Her fingers found the tiny silver locket around her neck, the last gift from her late mother, engraved with one word, rise. Ethan's arm wrapped around Renee's shoulders. She's moving in tomorrow, he announced. It's time for a change. Tears welled in Alana's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Slowly she stood. Congratulations, she whispered, her voice trembling but sharp. Just remember, nothing that begins in cruelty ends in peace. The table went still. For a moment even Sylvia's smirk faltered. Ethan laughed it off, raising his glass again. Don't be dramatic, Alana. She turned to Darius, her brother, the one she once trusted. You knew? She asked softly. He looked away. Silence answered for him. Alana's chest tightened, a mix of betrayal and clarity. Her life, her love, her safety, it all ended tonight. She walked toward the door, heels clicking like clock, hands counting down. Behind her, Ethan's voice rose, cold and final. Don't bother coming back, Alana. You're nothing without me. Her hand paused on the doorknob. Then I guess I'll have to find out, she said. And as she stepped into the night, thunder rolled faintly in the distance, not from a storm, but from change coming. In the reflection of the glass door, Alana caught her own eyes calm, focused, unbroken. Somewhere deep inside, a promise whispered, he'll regret those words. The front door slammed so hard that the baby's cry echoed through the hallway. Ethan Pierce towered near the staircase, his face twisted with fury. I said pack your things, Alana. Tonight. The house that once smelled of roasted rosemary now reeked of whiskey and rage. Alana, still in her torn evening dress from the dinner, clutched her baby, Maya, close to her chest. Her voice trembled. "Ethan, please, she has a fever. Let me stay until morning, just until sunrise." Ethan's hand shot out, grabbing the suitcase she'd packed and hurling it across the foyer. "You think you can embarrass me and still sleep under my roof? You're lucky I don't call security to drag you out." From the top of the stairs, Sylvia Pierce watched with folded arms, silk robe gleaming under the chandelier. "Let her go, Ethan. She's been nothing but bad luck since she came here." "Mom, please." Alana's voice cracked. "I've done everything for this family. I cooked, cleaned, cared for your father when you wouldn't. What did I do so wrong?" Sylvia's reply came like a knife. "You existed. That's all it took." A shadow moved near the front door. It was Darius, Alana's own brother. His jaw clenched, guilt flickering across his eyes. He had been living in the Pierce guest house, funded by Ethan's generosity. "Alana," he whispered, "just go. Don't make things worse." She turned toward him slowly. "Worse? Darius, they're throwing your sister out with her baby in the middle of the night." He couldn't look her in the eyes. Silence answered her again. Renee Cole stepped out from behind Ethan, her red nails brushing his sleeve. "You don't have to justify anything to her," she purred. "Some people just don't fit in this world." Alana's fingers tightened around the doorknob. The cold night air hit her face like truth. Behind her, Ethan's voice rose again, sharp and final. "You're nothing without me, Alana. Nothing." She turned, eyes glistening but steady. "Then maybe it's time I find out who I am." The street outside was silent except for the hum of crickets. She stood barefoot on the porch, her suitcase half open, baby crying softly against her shoulder. A car passed in the distance, headlights flashing across her tear-streaked face. Inside, laughter echoed, Ethan and Renee celebrating with a glass of wine, as if she'd never existed. Alana walked down the porch steps, clutching her baby tighter, whispering a promise only the night could hear. "You'll never see us crawl again." Her heart raced, but her steps grew steadier with each one. The wind carried away her tears, leaving only resolve. She reached the end of the driveway and looked back once, not in pain, but in finality. The mansion's lights flickered behind her, like fading memories. In the reflection of a puddle, the moon glimmered beside her weary face. Somewhere out there, help waited, a door she hadn't knocked on yet. The rain hammered against the cracked windshield as Alana Pierce pressed her forehead to the steering wheel of the old car she'd borrowed from a neighbor. Her baby, Maya, whimpered in the back seat, wrapped in a threadbare blanket. The fuel gauge blinked red. No gas, no money, no home. Lightning split the night sky, revealing a small sign ahead through the downpour. "Cedar Springs Women's Shelter, a safe place." She stumbled out into the storm, clutching Maya tight. Her shoes sank into the mud as she reached the metal door and banged on it with the side of her fist. A woman with tired eyes and kind hands opened the door. "You're safe now," she said softly. "I'm Tina Brooks. Come in before you freeze." Inside, the air smelled of coffee and old books. Warmth hit Alana's skin, but her knees gave way. Tina caught her before she fell. "Easy," she said gently, guiding her to a cot. "You're okay. What's your name?" "Alana," she whispered, rocking her baby. "I just need somewhere to rest. Just for tonight." "You can stay as long as you need," Tina said, handing her a towel. "We've all had our just for tonight moments." At a nearby table, a young woman with a scar on her left cheek looked up from folding donated clothes. "I'm Nina Johnson," she said. "I came here a year ago with a black eye and $2. Now I work here. You'll stand again too." Alana tried to smile. Her voice was small. "He threw me out. My husband, my own brother helped him." Tina nodded knowingly. "You don't have to explain. Just breathe. We've seen every kind of storm here." As Nurse Carla checked on the baby's temperature, Alana stared at the flickering light above, the hum of the generator filling the silence. The world outside felt cruel and endless, but in this quiet, there was a strange comfort, a heartbeat of hope she hadn't felt in months. Later that night, she sat awake, watching Maya sleep. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "I won't let you grow up like this. I don't know how yet, but I'll find a way." Tina approached quietly, holding a steaming cup of tea. "Drink this, and rest." Alana looked up. "How did you do it? How did you start again?" Tina smiled faintly. Someone believed in me when I didn't. A man named Howard Grayson. He funds this place quietly. Doesn't like attention, but he helps women build new lives. Maybe one day, you'll meet him." Alana's eyes flickered with curiosity. Why would a man like that care? Tina shrugged. Maybe he sees what we can't yet see in ourselves. The baby stirred, cooing softly in her sleep. Alana brushed a curl from her tiny forehead and exhaled, her fear melting into determination. For the first time in weeks, she closed her eyes with purpose, not panic. As Tina dimmed the lights, Alana whispered to herself, "If there's a man who believes in second chances, maybe he's the reason I came here tonight." If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to do it now. Every click, every share, every comment helps us keep telling stories that give strength to women and children who've been broken, forgotten, or silenced. When you subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel, you're standing beside survivors, saying their stories matter. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss a story that could change a life. And in the comments, tell us, where are you watching from, and what part of this story spoke to your heart. The wind whipped through the cracked windows of the courthouse parking lot as Alana Pierce tightened her coat around her trembling body. Ethan Pierce stepped out of a black SUV, his tailored suit untouched by the chill. He smirked when he saw her, the same cold smile that used to make her doubt herself. "You really came alone?" he said, his voice dripping with mock concern. "Couldn't afford a lawyer?" "I don't need one," she replied, lifting her chin. "The truth doesn't cost a thing." Inside, the family courtroom buzzed with murmurs. The fluorescent lights flickered, and the faint scent of old paper filled the air. Judge Elaine Monroe, a calm woman in her 60s with sharp gray eyes, adjusted her glasses as the case began. "Case of Pierce versus Pierce," she announced. "Custody hearing for minor child Maya Pierce." Ethan's lawyer, Trevor King, rose confidently. "Your Honor, my client is a respected businessman with a stable home and family network. The mother, on the other hand, has been residing in a shelter. Clearly, she cannot provide the same standard of care." Ethan smirked again, folding his hands. Alana stood, her fingers trembling slightly, but her voice clear. "Your Honor, that shelter saved my baby's life. The people there gave us food when he wouldn't. They helped when everyone else turned their backs." Trevor interrupted. "Objection. Irrelevant." Judge Monroe raised a hand. "Overruled. Continue, Mrs. Pierce." Alana took a deep breath. "I may not have money, but I have evidence." She opened a folder from her thrift store handbag, every page carefully labeled and dated. Unpaid hospital bills under his name, texts where he told me I was worthless, and photos from the night he threw me out. The courtroom went silent. Ethan's jaw tightened, his confident smile fading. Judge Monroe flipped through the documents, her expression darkening. "Mr. Pierce, is this your signature on these hospital statements?" Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "Those were old misunderstandings." The judge leaned forward. "You abandoned your wife and newborn. Then you attempted to frame her as unstable? That's not a misunderstanding, Mr. Pierce. That's cruelty." The gavel struck. "Full custody granted to Mrs. Pierce. Child support is mandatory. You are to stay 500 feet away from her residence." Ethan shot up from his chair. "This isn't over, Alana." She looked at him calmly. "It already is." As she walked out of the courtroom, the rain had stopped. The sky above was pale and open, like a clean slate. Alana stood on the courthouse steps, clutching the custody papers, the weight of her future suddenly lighter. Her reflection shimmered faintly in a puddle by her feet, not broken, but reborn. From across the street, a man in a gray coat watched her leave. Mr. Howard Grayson, silent observer of strength, noting her name as if it meant something. The mop bucket tipped over, water spilling across the marble floor. The echo of a child's cry followed, as Alana Pierce rushed to scoop her baby's bottle off the ground. Her hands trembled from exhaustion, 3 hours of sleep, 2 jobs, 1 dream barely keeping her standing. The clock on the lobby wall struck 11:45 p.m., another night cleaning offices after her day shift at the corner store. Nina Johnson, her friend from the shelter, wiped her brow across the hall. "Girl, slow down," she whispered. "You can't pour from an empty cup." Alana smiled weakly. "If I stop moving, I'll remember how tired I am." The elevator dinged open. A man in a tailored gray suit stepped out late 30 seconds, calm energy, gold badge clipped to his belt. "You missed a spot," he said lightly, pointing toward a streak on the glass door. Alana straightened, defensive. "Sorry, sir. I'll get it," he smiled. "Relax. I'm joking." He extended a hand. Liam Carter, property supervisor. "I usually leave before midnight, but I forgot my laptop." His tone wasn't mocking, it was curious, gentle. He watched her wring out the mop and asked, "You always this focused?" She paused. "Focus is all I have left." He crouched beside her. "Ever thought of starting your own service? You clean like you own the building." Alana gave a soft, tired laugh. "Own it? I'm just trying to survive the rent." Liam studied her for a moment. "Still, people who work like this don't stay small forever." He pulled a business card from his coat. "If you ever want a contract instead of a paycheck, call me." Before she could respond, the security alarm buzzed faintly, midnight shift turnover. Nina called from the hall. "Alana, let's go before the bus leaves." Alana tucked the card into her pocket, unsure if she'd ever use it. On the ride home, she stared at her reflection in the bus window, eyes weary but alive. Maya slept in her lap, small fingers clutching her mother's sleeve. Back at the shelter, the fluorescent lights buzzed softly. Mrs. Ellison, the elderly bank officer who volunteered on weekends, was sorting donation envelopes at a table. She looked up as Alana entered. "Long night again?" Alana nodded, placing Maya gently in her crib. Mrs. Ellison poured her a cup of tea. "When I was your age, I cleaned offices too," she said. "One day, a man offered me a contract instead of wages. It changed my life. Sometimes, opportunity comes disguised as exhaustion." Alana blinked, recalling the card in her pocket. "You really think so?" Mrs. Ellison smiled. "I know so." Alana held the small white card under the dim light. Liam Carter, Property Management Group. Her reflection shimmered on its glossy surface. Half fear, half hope. She folded it carefully, whispering to herself, "Maybe this is where survival turns into something else." As she drifted to sleep, the business card slid off the nightstand, landing beside Maya's tiny hand, two paths touching, one life about to change forever. The printer jammed again. Paper crumpled halfway through as Alana Pierce slammed her hand against it in frustration. The shelter's small office smelled of coffee and determination. "We can't afford to lose this chance," she muttered, tugging the stuck sheet out. Across the table, Nina Johnson tapped nervously on her calculator. "We need at least $100 for supplies. If we get that office cleaning contract, we can finally buy uniforms and maybe, just maybe, move out of here." The old landline phone rang. Alana froze, staring at it as if it were a ticking bomb. Mrs. Ellison, the elderly bank officer who had quietly mentored her for months, stood near the window with her clipboard. "Answer it, dear," she urged softly. "Sometimes the calls we fear the most change everything." Alana picked up the phone. "Hello?" A familiar voice came through, calm, professional. "This is Liam Carter. I reviewed your proposal. It's bold for a small startup. Meet me tomorrow at 10. Bring your partner. We'll see if you can handle something bigger." The moment she hung up, the room erupted. Nina screamed, "We did it!" Maya clapped her little hands in her playpen, mimicking the excitement. Mrs. Ellison smiled knowingly. "See? Faith rewards the prepared." The next morning, Alana stood in front of the sleek glass building that once seemed unreachable. She wore a second-hand blouse pressed to perfection, her hair tied back neatly. Her hands shook, but her heart stayed steady. Inside, Liam waited at the lobby with a clipboard. "Right on time," he said. "That's already a good sign." They toured the building. Floors gleamed under morning light. "You'd be responsible for 3 floors, including conference halls," Liam explained. "We need reliability. No excuses." Alana met his gaze. "You'll have neither excuses nor complaints, only results." He studied her face for a moment before nodding. "You remind me of someone I used to work for, a woman who built everything from scratch." "I think you've got that same spark," Nina whispered as they left the building. "Did we just get it?" Alana smiled, trying to stay calm. "Not yet, but we left a mark." That night, back at the shelter, the fax machine buzzed. Tina ran down the hallway holding a paper high. "Alana, it's official. You got the contract." Tears spilled down Alana's cheeks as she read the words. "Approved vendor Pierce and Johnson Cleaning Services." The shelter erupted into applause. Women hugged her, some crying, others clapping. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt like a builder. She held Maya close and whispered, "Mommy's building us. Something real." Mrs. Ellison approached with a small envelope. "Your first deposit check," she said. "Use it wisely. Growth comes with new storms." Alana smiled faintly. "Then I'll learn to dance in the rain." As she placed the check into her worn wallet, she noticed a man at the far corner of the lobby, Howard Grayson, watching her with a knowing look, as if he had just found someone worth betting on. The library lights flickered as the rain pounded against the wide windows. A thunderclap rattled the shelves just as Alana Pierce dropped the stack of ledgers she'd been studying. Papers scattered across the wooden floor, profit sheets, client invoices, dreams written in ink. She knelt quickly, gathering them up while balancing baby Maya on her hip. The toddler tugged at her mother's braid and laughed softly, breaking the tension. "You think this is funny?" Alana whispered, smiling through exhaustion. From behind a bookshelf came a calm, deep voice. "It's good she laughs," it said. "Children don't smile unless they feel safe." Alana looked up. An older man with silver hair and gentle eyes stood before her, holding one of her fallen papers. He was well-dressed but unassuming, the kind of man people noticed without understanding why. "I'm sorry," she said, brushing dust from her knees. "I didn't mean to make a mess." He handed the paper back. "No harm done. But you've been here every night this week taking notes, studying business reports, reading property manuals. What are you building?" She hesitated, unsure if she should answer. "A future," she said finally. "Something stable for my daughter. I run a cleaning business. It's small, but we're growing." The man smiled. "Small things built with care grow stronger than large things built on ego." Tina Brooks, the shelter counselor, appeared from the far aisle carrying a box of donated books. "Ah, I see you've met Mr. Howard Grayson," she said warmly. "He's the man who funds this library and the shelter's scholarship program." Alana blinked. "You're him?" Howard chuckled. "Guilty. But I prefer listening to stories over being thanked for them." They sat together at the reading table as Maya scribbled on scrap paper with a broken crayon. Howard watched quietly as Alana outlined her business plan, new contracts, client referrals, her vision to hire more women from the shelter. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "I just need one investor to believe in me. Someone who won't take everything if I fail." Howard leaned back, thoughtful. "Most investors look for profit. I look for purpose. You clean buildings, but what you're really doing is restoring dignity." Alana's eyes welled up. "No one's ever said that before." He smiled gently. "Then let me be the first." He reached into his coat and slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a short agreement letter. "I'll invest 40% equity, but with one condition: every woman you hire gets fair wages and a path to independence." Alana's breath caught. "You'd do that for me?" "No," Howard said softly, eyes kind but sharp. "I'd do it because of you." The storm outside softened to a drizzle. For the first time in years, hope felt real, tangible, almost touchable. As Howard rose to leave, he said, "Build it strong, Alana. The world's going to test every brick." His cane tapped twice on the marble floor, steady, certain like destiny marking time. The sirens wailed outside the hospital as Alana Pierce pushed through the glass doors, her breath ragged, hands shaking. "Where is he?" she asked the nurse at the desk. "Howard Grayson, please, tell me he's awake." The nurse's eyes softened. "Room 408. But you might want to prepare yourself." Her heels clacked against the sterile floor. The closer she got to the room, the slower her steps became. Through the small window in the door, she saw Howard, pale against the white sheets, oxygen tubes trailing across his face. His cane leaned in the corner beside a folder labeled Grayson Trust. Inside the room, Liam Carter and Tina Brooks stood by the bedside. Liam turned as she entered. "He asked for you," he said quietly. Howard smiled faintly when she knelt beside him. "I told you the world would test every brick," he whispered. "You held it up better than I did." Tears filled her eyes. "Don't say that. You're not done yet. You said you'd see our headquarters open." He reached for her trembling hand. "I've seen enough. You made something worth leaving behind." He nodded toward the folder. "I will read it when you're ready. You'll know what to do." A weak chuckle escaped his lips. "Remember what I said? Build with purpose." And with that final smile, his hand went still. The monitor flatlined. A sharp gasp escaped Alana as the room filled with the long, steady tone of loss. She buried her face against his arm, whispering, "Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." Nina Johnson stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "He changed everything for us." Liam placed a gentle hand on Alana's shoulder. "Then let's make sure his name lives on." Days later, under the soft glow of her office lights, Alana opened the Grayson Trust folder. Inside was a handwritten letter on thick paper. "Alana, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't mourn too long. I've left my shares to you and Maya. Take the company beyond cleaning, build homes, rebuild lives. You were born to lead, not survive." She wiped her tears and turned to the last page legal papers, transferring ownership of his investment firm, with one note scribbled at the bottom: "Dream bigger, always." In that moment, grief and gratitude fused into something powerful, a new fire. She looked out the office window, where her company vans lined the street, each painted with her new slogan, "Rise and Restore." The team gathered in the hallway: Nina, Liam, and several women from the shelter. "What now, boss?" one asked. Alana smiled faintly, holding the letter to her heart. "Now we expand." She turned toward the whiteboard where blueprints hung, a mansion outline drawn in bold strokes. "And this," she said softly, "will be our next project." As she switched off the office lights, the reflection of the mansion blueprint lingered in the glass, its lakeview arches glowing under moonlight, as if waiting for her to bring it to life. The hammer crashed against the rotten wood, sending splinters flying across the dusty floor. Alana Pierce stood in the center of a decaying mansion, her hard hat slightly tilted, her boots coated in years of neglect. "Tear it down," she said firmly, voice echoing through the hollow hall. "We'll build it back better." Workers moved quickly, prying off warped panels and clearing broken glass. The air smelled of sawdust, rust, and rain-soaked history. Standing beside her, Liam Carter watched with admiration. "You sure about this place?" "It's a mess," he said, stepping over cracked tiles. Alana brushed the dust from a fallen chandelier. "So was my life once," she replied, "but look at me now." Her eyes lifted toward the high ceiling holes where sunlight spilled through like hope sneaking in. This was no ordinary renovation. It was a rebirth. The property overlooked Lake Ashbury, where the morning fog glided gently over the water. It was a mansion forgotten by time, exactly the kind of place she wanted to restore, not replace. A young woman with blueprints tucked under her arm entered. "Selena Moore," she said, extending a hand. "Architect, Liam says you're building a home, not a monument." Alana smiled. "Home first, symbol later." Selena unrolled the plans across a dusty table. "You've got vision, Alana. This design blends restoration, with resilience, arched windows for light, wraparound porch for reflection, and a marble foyer that leads straight to a lakeview balcony. It screams rebirth." Alana traced the outline of the main hall with her fingers. "It's not about showing off," she said softly. "It's about showing what survival looks like." Liam leaned closer, studying the design. "You're investing millions into this project. You could build something new, faster." She looked up, eyes fierce but calm. "I don't want new. I want proof that broken things can stand again." They spent hours reviewing plans, cost estimates, structural challenges, and her bold timeline of 8 months. By sunset, the dusty mansion glowed orange under the falling light, like it was already remembering how to shine. Maya ran in from the porch, laughing, her little shoes tracking dirt across the blueprint. Alana lifted her into her arms and smiled. "This will be our home, baby. A place that says we made it." Selena gathered her notes. "We'll start foundation work next week. I'll send the first permit forms tonight." Liam nodded approvingly. "I'll make sure your permits go through. The council owes me a few favors." As the last workers shut the truck doors, the site grew quiet. Alana stood in the doorway, looking out toward the lake. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the water, strong, serene, and almost unrecognizable from the woman once thrown out into the night. She whispered, "You built your empire, Howard. Now it's my turn." The wind carried her words across the lake, almost like a reply came back. "Build it strong." As Alana locked the construction gate, a luxury car slowed across the road, its tinted window rolling down just enough for a man's eyes to watch her. The past was beginning to circle back. The flashbulbs exploded like fireworks. Reporters crowded the front lawn of the newly finished Pierce Estates, their microphones thrust forward, voices overlapping in chaos. Alana, over here. How does it feel to own one of the largest restored mansions in Cedar Springs? Is it true you built this empire from a shelter bed? Alana Pierce stood beneath the marble archway, wearing a crisp white suit that caught the afternoon light. Her expression was calm, poised, but her pulse raced beneath the surface. Maya clung to her leg, eyes wide as cameras flickered. From behind the crowd, Nina Johnson whispered, "You've gone viral. Every outlet's fighting for your story." Liam Carter stepped beside her, lowering his voice. "This kind of spotlight changes everything. You ready for that?" Alana smiled faintly. "I was born ready. I just didn't know it until now." The sea of reporters parted slightly as a tall woman in a navy coat stepped forward, notebook in hand. "Keisha Ray, Cedar Chronicle," she said warmly. "Your story's been trending since dawn. People are calling you the Phoenix of Cedar Springs. Can I get a quote for the front page?" Alana hesitated. She thought of Howard Grayson, the man who taught her that wealth without purpose was noise. She lifted her chin. "Tell them I didn't rise to prove anyone wrong. I rose to remind every woman she can rebuild from the ashes." The reporters erupted with questions. Cameras clicked. Behind her, the massive double doors of the mansion opened, revealing the gleaming foyer, crystal chandeliers, lakeview windows, and a plaque by the door engraved with 3 words, "Rise and Restore." Keisha stepped closer. "Is it true this mansion will serve as a foundation for survivors of abuse?" "Yes," Alana replied. "It's more than a home. It's a new beginning for others, just like someone once gave me." The crowd applauded. Nina wiped a tear quietly. Liam crossed his arms, proud but cautious. "You know this much attention won't go unnoticed," he murmured. "Someone's bound to recognize you." Alana's eyes flickered. "Let them. I have nothing to hide anymore." By sunset, the story hit every local screen headlines, hashtags, and videos of her speech spreading faster than she imagined. Her phone buzzed endlessly, with messages, some from supporters, others from unknown numbers she didn't dare open. Inside the mansion, she tucked Maya into bed, the soft hum of crickets outside mixing with distant applause from the lingering crowd. She whispered, "We did it, baby. We really did." As she walked to the balcony, the lake shimmered with gold reflections from the setting sun. For the first time, peace felt like more than survival, it felt earned. She exhaled, closing her eyes until her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. One message. "We saw the article. We're coming home." Her breath caught. The color drained from her face. The phone slipped from her trembling hand and landed beside Howard's framed letter on the desk, its words catching the moonlight. "The world will test every brick." The mansion gates opened with a sharp metallic groan. A convoy of black luxury cars rolled up the driveway like a storm cloud, returning to the sky at once darkened. Alana Pierce stood at the top of the marble stairs, calm but alert. She knew those cars, every dent, every plate number, every piece of the past they carried. The first door opened. Ethan Pierce stepped out, perfectly dressed, with a fake humility she could smell from yards away. Behind him came Sylvia Pierce, face painted in apology, and Harold, pretending age had softened his pride. From the last car emerged Darius, her brother, looking smaller than she remembered, eyes downcast. Ethan spread his arms. "Alana," he began with a grin that didn't touch his eyes, "you've done amazing things. We saw you on the news. The mansion, the company. It's unbelievable." Her expression didn't move. "You found time to watch between champagne parties?" Sylvia stepped forward, her tone syrupy. "Sweet. We made mistakes, dear. Families argue, but blood always wins in the end." "Blood?" Alana's voice sliced like glass. "You threw me out with my newborn. I begged you for one night of warmth. You called me bad luck." Silence. Even the fountain seemed to stop running. Harold cleared his throat, playing the patriarch. "We were wrong. Let us make it right. We can start again. Family business, family home. We can merge our lives and build something bigger." Renee stepped beside Ethan, smiling smugly. "It's what Howard would have wanted, right?" That name hit Alana like a blow. Her late mentor's legacy, spoken through a woman who'd once helped destroy her marriage. She stepped closer, voice low and steady. You have no right to say his name. Ethan's smile cracked. Look, we don't need to fight. Let's be reasonable. Think of Maya. She deserves to know her family. Alana tilted her head slightly. She already does. She sees them every day, the ones who chose her when you didn't. Sylvia sighed dramatically. Alana, enough of this pride. Forgiveness is strength. Forgiveness, Alana repeated slowly, is earned, not demanded at the gate. Ethan's charm faltered. His jaw tightened. You think this mansion makes you better than us? Alana met his glare with calm certainty. No, Ethan. It just reminds me what I survived without you. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Careful, Alana. Don't forget where you came from. She smiled faintly. I don't. But you seem to forget you're standing on my porch. He froze. Sylvia's smile twitched. Darius finally looked up, whispering, Alana, please. I just wanted to say sorry. Her tone softened, briefly. Then say it to yourself. You'll need it more than I do. A guard approached quietly, whispering something to her. She nodded once. Thank you. Escort them off the property. As the gates closed behind their cars, Ethan's glare lingered through the glass, cold and unfinished. From her office window, Alana watched their cars stop just beyond the gate. Inside one, a flash of paper, a map of the mansion's floor plan. Her instincts whispered, they aren't done with me yet. The shriek of the security alarm sliced through the stillness of the night. Alana Pierce jolted awake, heart hammering. Red warning lights blinked across the mansion walls. From the baby monitor, she heard Maya stir softly in her sleep. She grabbed her robe and sprinted toward the security screen in her study. What she saw made her blood run cold. The camera feed showed a U-Haul truck parked in the driveway and 3 figures climbing out. Impossible, she whispered. They wouldn't. The front door handle rattled violently. Then a key turned. The lock clicked open. Ethan Pierce stepped inside first, flashlight in hand, his once polished confidence now desperate and dark. Behind him came Sylvia, muttering under her breath, and Harold, clutching a folder. Darius followed last, nervous and pale. Ethan barked, Hurry up, before security gets here. Sylvia pointed toward the grand staircase. Take the West Wing rooms. We'll claim this place before she can react. The deed's public property, now it's ours again. Alana appeared at the top of the stairs, calm but ice cold. You broke into my home, she said. Even for you. That's low. Ethan froze, caught mid-step. Alana, listen. This is a misunderstanding. We just wanted to talk. By breaking locks? She asked. Her voice was calm, but the tremor in her hands betrayed her fury. Harold stepped forward. You owe us, girl. This mansion was built on the Grayson name. Howard was part of our business before he died. She laughed bitterly. Howard left everything to me and you know it. You were too busy mocking him to notice he'd already written you out. Sylvia's tone turned venomous. You think this is over? You think that little empire makes you untouchable? You're still that same girl who begged us for bread. Alana's eyes flashed. Maybe. But the difference is this time, the world is watching. Ethan lunged forward suddenly, snatching the folder from Harold's hand and slamming it on the table. Sign this transfer, Alana. Give us part of the estate. And we walk away. She didn't move. Touch one more thing in this house, and you won't walk away at all. A faint beep echoed the hidden panic button under her desk. Outside, blue and red lights flared across the lawn. Detective Miles and 2 officers stormed through the gate. Hands where I can see them, Miles shouted. This is breaking and entering recorded on camera. Ethan's face drained of color. Sylvia screamed, You can't arrest us. This is family business. Detective Miles held up a tablet showing live footage from the security system. Family or not, you're trespassing, and we've got the proof. As the officers cuffed Ethan and Sylvia, Alana stood motionless, breathing deeply, her robe fluttering in the cold night air. She whispered to herself, The past just got evicted. As Detective Miles led them outside, Sylvia turned back, eyes burning with rage. You haven't seen the last of us, Alana. We still have friends in court. Alana's gaze hardened. Then I'll see you there. The gavel struck once, sharp as lightning. Court is now in session, announced the bailiff. Cameras flashed from the back row, the case already trending as the mansion trespass trial. Alana Pierce sat tall at the plaintiff's table, wearing a black suit, her hair pinned in a calm bun. Across from her, Ethan Pierce sat between his parents, their once proud faces now stiff with arrogance and denial. Mrs. Pierce, Judge Elaine Monroe began, her voice steady and firm. You're here today to present your evidence of unlawful entry and property damage. Proceed. Detective Miles stood first, projecting video footage onto the screen. The room fell silent. The large monitor played the mansion's camera feed, Ethan's voice echoing through the speakers. Take the West Wing rooms. We'll claim this place before she can react. Gasps rippled across the courtroom. Sylvia's hands trembled on her lap. Harold sank lower in his chair. The judge turned to Ethan. Care to explain this? Ethan stammered. It wasn't serious. We were confused. The property was family-owned, Alana's lawyer leaned forward. Correction, Your Honor. This mansion was purchased solely under Pierce Estates LLC, owned by Alana Pierce, and confirmed by the Grayson Trust documents. Judge, Monroe's eyes sharpened. So not only did you break in, Mr. Pierce, you did so with knowledge of ownership. Sylvia slammed her hand on the table. We were protecting our legacy. She stole everything from us. Alana finally spoke, her tone low and measured. Legacy? You left me with a baby and a hospital bill. You mocked me for being poor. I didn't steal anything. I built what you threw away. The room buzzed. Several jurors nodded. Even Darius shifted uncomfortably. The lawyer played the next clip, Ethan holding the transfer papers, shouting, Sign this, Alana, and we walk away. Judge Monroe's gavel struck again. Enough. The evidence speaks louder than any excuse. Sylvia began to sob, realizing the tide had turned. Harold muttered, This is ridiculous, our own daughter-in-law dragging us to court. Alana looked at him steadily. You stopped being my family the night you watched me beg at your doorstep. Silence fell heavy, like the weight of truth itself. Judge Monroe straightened her robe. This court finds the defendants guilty of trespassing, coercion, and attempted property fraud. Sentence: 1 year probation, community service, and fines totaling $250,000. Mr. Pierce, you are additionally ordered to attend anger management and maintain 500 feet distance from Mrs. Pierce and her daughter. Ethan slammed his hand on the table. You can't do this to me. I made her. Judge Monroe's voice cut through the air. No, Mr. Pierce, you broke her. She made herself. The courtroom erupted in applause. Cameras clicked. Alana closed her eyes, breathing in the justice she'd waited years to taste. As Alana stepped outside into the flashing lights, a reporter's question pierced through the crowd. Mrs. Pierce, how does it feel to finally win? She smiled faintly. Winning is easy. Staying kind after victory, that's the real test. But behind the cameras, one dark figure lingered near a car door, watching her in silence. Music swelled through the golden halls of the Pierce mansion, violins harmonizing under the glitter of chandeliers. Cameras flashed. Glasses clinked. The foyer that once echoed with emptiness now thrived with life and laughter. Alana Pierce stood at the top of the staircase in a sleek silver gown, her daughter Maya holding her hand. Mommy, is this all for us? The child whispered, eyes wide at the sea of guests below. Alana smiled softly. No, sweetheart. It's for every woman who thought she'd never stand again. The crowd quieted as journalist Keisha Ray approached the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate not wealth, but resilience. From shelter floors to a $100 million legacy, please welcome the woman who turned pain into purpose, Alana Pierce. Applause thundered through the ballroom. Cameras zoomed in as Alana descended the staircase, each step measured, graceful, symbolic. She took the stage, hands steady, though her heart trembled beneath her ribs. 3 years ago, she began, voice echoing across the hall. I was homeless with a baby in my arms. The world told me I had nothing left. But pain is a strange teacher. It forces you to listen when no one else will. She looked toward the front row where Judge Monroe, Tina, Nina, and Liam sat smiling proudly. I stand here today not as a victim, but as a builder. This mansion isn't just my home, it's now a foundation for survivors, a place where broken beginnings turn into second chances. The audience rose to their feet, clapping, some with tears glistening in their eyes. Even Nina Johnson, once homeless herself, couldn't hold back emotion. You did it, Alana, she whispered from her table. You kept your promise. As the applause quieted, Alana's tone softened. For every woman watching, don't let their rejection define you. Build something so powerful, they have to watch from outside the gate. Cameras flashed. The moment was immortalized. The phoenix had risen fully from the ashes. Then came the toast. Liam Carter raised his glass. To Alana Pierce, proof that faith and fire can rebuild any ruin. Everyone cheered. Laughter filled the air. The sound of new beginnings drowned the ghosts of the past. But as the celebration grew louder, Alana's gaze shifted toward the glass doors. Outside, across the manicured lawn, blue and red lights flickered faintly in the distance. A police convoy slowed near the gates. A guard leaned toward her, whispering urgently, "Ma'am, the authorities just arrived. They say there's been a development regarding the Pierce's case." Her smile faltered just slightly. "What kind of development?" The guard hesitated. "They said you'd want to hear it in private." The music continued, the guests unaware. Alana's hand tightened around her champagne glass as the doors slowly opened behind her, the air shifting colder. In the mirror's reflection, Alana's calm face met her own eyes, strong, unshaken, ready. "Whatever this is," she whispered, "I'm not afraid anymore." Then, from the ballroom's edge, a faint voice called her name, a voice she thought she'd never hear again.